Good morning. Welcome to TERRA at Home. We are at Maison Fritz Salon and Spa in West Hamilton this morning, and I'm here with Christian, and we have three beautiful models this morning, and also stylists here at the salon.
Yes, they are. They're all stylists here at the salon. We've been working together for about 5 to 10 years.
Wonderful,
yes,
wonderful.
yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to talk a little bit about today, now that we're officially inside of February, we want to talk a little bit about some of the trends that are happening. And sometimes it takes a little while for people to catch up. So we need to come to a salon like this, or you guys can give us like what's happening, what's the latest, what's going on. So it's kind of neat that they all work here and they all have sort of the latest of what's happening because you require that.
Exactly. All of our stylists take regular education. We're up, actually the three of them just got back from Paris where they went to a hair show. They're up on all their modern trends and current
Well,
haircuts.
that's helpful to all of our viewers then.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with this model right here. And what's her name?
Tony.
Tony.
Tony has a bob-shaped haircut and it's been slightly undercut just to give a bit of edge. And it can wear sleek, or you can wear it texturized and more messy for more volume.
So you would put in, what kind of product would you put in to texturize that?
You put in like matte gum,
Okay.
A paste, and then you can just rough it up.
That's neat. And you have some nice longer pieces as well. So this style is actually interestingly versatile, isn't it?
Very versatile. It's been very, very textured. It's not your classic heavy weighted bob.
No, no. So it gives it some movement and some flow, so it's not just like
definitely
heavy.
Yeah,
heavy.
And she has got a long side fringe too. It's very wearable. She can tuck it behind her ear, and very classy. You can glam it up, or you can mess it up too.
Okay, very nice. I like that a lot. Okay, so this is interesting. So we're talking about specifically getting into some serious colors. So you're still seeing a lot of bright colors in hair.
Definitely.
And
definitely.
just in kind of again, this is only on one side of her hair.
Right. Well, it's more of an accent piece. Claire has a mid-length haircut. It's been very shattered, very layered through too for a lot of texture. She has like a Betty Page inspired bang, a little shorter, more wearable. Again, she has a rich brown tone, and again with this beautiful violet accent piece, it just really spices it up. And it's really popular. Now,
with colors like this, how long will that color actually hold in the hair before it starts to fade?
Well, we have to pre-lighten the hair, and then we deposit one of our fashion colors, and it usually lasts between 6 and 8 weeks.
Okay, so that's actually pretty good, isn't it?
And actually, as it fades out, it's a really, really pretty purple violet as it fades out.
So it just starts to go, which is nice. That again, you don't have to. It's not super high maintenance, right? You know, again, you were talking about a lot of texture in the hair and a lot of. Is this what's more common now than the full one lengths anymore?
Yes, yes. Full lengths, one length hair is pretty boring nowadays, so people really want to spice it up and get more versatility out of their hair, you know.
I can see that, right?
Still wear it up, hit a yoga class, and then...
Yeah. Some people are afraid to cut their hair, though. Aren't there? You probably get those people, you know, the people with the very long hair, and they're afraid, and you guys have to break them down a little.
Well, slowly, baby steps.
It is baby steps, because sometimes that's their identity almost, right? People with that long, straight curtain hair. You have to sort of, I'm sure you have to start making, flipping up the ends just a little bit, getting in there. But again, this is very, very cute. So bangs, straight across, the Betty Page look, but also the sweep across as well.
Yes,
still, both.
Just like Tony's Michelle Williams inspired kind of front.
But again, nice color tones. Any other specifics with in terms of, are you seeing people are starting to go back more to browns or blondes, or is there any?
As we're getting through the winter months, we did get a lot of rich browns, a lot of natural tones through the hair. And as we're coming now through the spring and the summer, we are going to lighten up the hair again.
Start lightening up. So that still is it's just sort of a natural thing that starts happening. Now, do you suggest that to your clients when they come in that, hey, you know what, spring is around the corner, summer's coming, maybe we could break this up and lighten this up a little bit?
Definitely, definitely. We always want to add a little bit of texture and dimension with our colors. And as it's season appropriate, we go lighter and darker.
Well, what's happening in terms of color in terms of highlights? What are you seeing? Remember at one point we were seeing the big stripy highlights, and then it became more subtle. So where are we going with that?
With the highlights, there's still going to be, we call it the bread and butter. We're doing our high lift blonde highlights on a lot of clients, but we're really getting into this block color. block colors.
color.
Yes.
Yeah, so
is
that's
really
the first time
popular.
I've seen that. That's actually
Yeah.
really cool to kind of have that just like that.
Oh, definitely. And a lot of people have it in the fringe or just on both sides, just to accentuate, not to have it all over.
Okay.
It's like too much.
Too much, yeah.
Too much.
Okay, so now we have to get onto this beautiful updo, and I love how
Yes.
updos have shifted as well. This is just so gorgeous, and it's very almost Grecian-like and princess-like, and but it again, it's so unstructured to what we normally see with just like slick back and coated in hairspray, right?
Exactly.
But this looks like she could take it down and just shake it out, even though because it has that messy look to it at the same time.
Well, Megan here, she is a princess, so
that's why you're the chosen one, Megan.
Definitely. And braids are still really big. They've been big for us through the fall, winter.
So pretty.
It's very classic look. It's very tousled. It's age appropriate. You can wear this for weddings, proms.
I was going to say, I can see a lot of brides really liking this, again, because a lot of brides are still torn between having their hair down, which you've kind of seen a lot lately, I'm sure, and, you know, to having, what should I do? I don't want it up and look so done. Where that doesn't look done, it just looks wispy and there's like still movement.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
And I really like the braids. I was talking to her and I was looking at where they're coming from. So they're coming from either side and kind of crossing over top.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's beautiful.
And again, Megan likes to have more color in her hair. So right now through the winter, she did go to like a nice rich chocolate brown. But with the braids and everything, having some highlights in there and accentuating the different colors, really, really
I could see that.
Impact.
That's what the cool part is about when you are pulling your hair up and you do start to see, you know, and I guess if you were especially a bride, if you knew, you guys would be very specific about how you could place some of those highlights, knowing that someone was going to wear their hair like that, right?
Some brides have 2 or 3 trials just before their wedding, and then we can do the color and everything else. Makeup, we full service.
How far in advance should someone be calling as a bride to come in for a trial to look ahead to their wedding?
I would do, you know, at least come in contact with us about a year in advance. The good dates really do get booked up.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so it's.
I'm sure you start to get some very busy Saturday mornings in here, don't you?
Oh my gosh, every Saturday.
It's just like a big wedding party and a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's an assembly line. We have our full service spa, so they do their makeup, nails, and then they come through here and we do the hair. And
amazing. Well, again, I know it's only February, but we know how quickly spring is going to come. So that's what's great about talking again, moving from winter and again into spring, which is something we look forward to. And obviously coming in and getting a good consultation, regardless of whether you're a bride, just day to day, I want to maybe change my look, freshen up my look, be very current. Yes. You guys can help people out, right?
Definitely.
Thanks, Christian. Thanks to all our models, of course, also work here. Thanks, Princess. All right, we'll have more TERRA at home after this.
Thank you.
TERRA, where color lives.
Heritage perennials. Look for us in the blue pots.
Good morning. Welcome back to TERRA at Home. I'm here in Ancaster this morning with Lois, and we are at Fieldcote Museum and Park. And it's interesting that we're here and we have something so historical right in our own backyards, and really kind of dotted throughout our community that are related back to the War of 1812. Now, this museum is not just about the War of 1812. right now the display is, but what else do you do here? What you generally have sort of a rotating exhibit.
Yes, well, we're a very tiny museum located within 7 acres of beautiful property. So we have the park, and within the museum we rotate exhibitions. We vary between fine art and history themes. And our focus is Ancaster, and that's mandated by a bequest. This house was left as a bequest by the family, the farmer family.
Oh, so that was something that they wanted to make sure it stayed focused on Ancaster specifically as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of people might think Ancaster in the War of 1812, there's not much to talk about. There were no battles fought here on the soil. But in fact, a very important event did take place here, and that's the Bloody Assize, which was a trial for high treason. And the British military at the time wanted to have a trial to send a message to the populace that loyalty to the British Empire was expected, and there was a lot of, they called it disaffection, some desertion happening, and they wanted to win the war, obviously.
Right.
So they decided to have a trial, and they had a number of prisoners already who'd been captured for treason, and they picked Ancaster because it was already an established settlement. They already had a building here called the Union Hotel, which is under their jurisdiction. And it was also protected behind Burlington Heights, and it wasn't on the water, so the Americans couldn't attack and recapture the prisoners.
Okay.
That's why they didn't have it in Toronto, which was then called York, because the Americans could attack by ship and disrupt the proceedings. So they chose Ancaster. Sleepy little Ancaster.
Sleepy little Ancaster.
And this is one of only 2 trials in all of Canada's history where someone was excuse me, executed. So there were 8 men eventually executed as a result.
Wow. And again, we were talking about the fact that, you know, treason was serious business back then. I mean, we really don't even talk about it that way. I mean, obviously we talk it in different terms nowadays, but it is very serious. And the British wanted to make sure, as you said, it was very important. They needed loyalty. They're trying to fight and win the war, so they needed people to make sure they're sticking with their game. But it was some things were as simple as just feeding the enemy.
Yes, in fact, as the execution was taking place, one of the men protested, "I was only being hospitable, I didn't know who I was feeding."
I read that clip on the wall.
Yes, so, you know, a lot of it, but it was a fairly detailed trial. They had juries, and they did look at all the evidence. The trials took over a month to take place. They were civil trials, not military trials. So they did look at all the evidence, but whether justice was done is up to the individual to judge that for themselves.
That's right, and I think that's the big thing, right? Whether they were, you know, they were considered victims or traitors or whatever that may be, right? But it is interesting again that it is in our own backyard, and we look at some of the murals around. We're on the upper level here at Fieldcote, and so this room is sort of representing the trial and what took place. And so actually we have these gentlemen behind us here on this that representing, you know, the actual court, and explain to me who these guys are and how they came to be.
Okay, these were the men that chosen to carry out the trials. There's 3 judges and the acting Attorney General of the day, John Beverly Robinson, and he was the chief prosecutor in the trial, and he was only 23 years of age. So imagine a 23-year-old having life and death power over these unfortunate men.
And looking here, we recognize this background because it's Burlington Heights.
This is what you would see looking from Dundurn Castle today. I mean, it doesn't look like this today. This is how it looked in 1812. So it's sort of a bit of poetic license, if you want to call it that, in portraying the hanging. I mean, this wouldn't be the exact positioning. We don't know exactly where the hanging took place.
Not exactly.
But it was at Burlington Heights, which is the piece of land that Dundurn sits on.
So I mean, we drive by, so many people drive by there every day, and you just wonder, right? And now the artist that painted these, again, part of this exhibit, specifically for this exhibit, is a local artist.
Yes, and that was very fortunate. It turns out I was put in touch with her. I heard that she was interested in the Bloody Assize. And was interested, we originally got in touch because she was interested in doing performance. She's also an aerialist. Her name is Lori Lamar. And I thought I was getting exhibit props or murals, and what she produced are actually works of fine art that will become part of our permanent art collection, depicting the judges and the execution. And she had already done a lot of research, and she put a lot more thought into it, even beyond that, to research the characters of the judges, and based on their characters try and portray that in the murals.
Which is really kind of hard to imagine.
Like
how,
showing a sense of compassion or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof with just their facial expressions and their body language, which is really quite interesting, right? So the best part is that people that can come here and learn, you know, as we were talking, you know, the Bloody Assize is named that for a reason. It was quite brutal. They had something set out, you know, intended to make it quite gruesome, to make it very clear to the people that we don't look highly upon treason. But they basically said they went along with the hanging, and then decapitation. And decapitation and displaying the heads on sticks. Displaying the heads on sticks. For public view. And that was them not going through with all what was supposed to have originally been done. Yes, which would involve a lot of torture. But it was the traditional sentence for high treason dating back in England's history. Sure. But they were lucky in that. It was actually John Beverley Robinson and Justice Scott were amongst those and jury members who appealed for mercy so that the full sentence wouldn't be carried out. So that at least didn't make them suffer. Well, this exhibit will continue on through this summer to 2014. That's right. And then right up until the day of the day of the Bloody Assize. Yes, we'll be having a large event on July 20th, which to the day is 200 years after the actual execution took place. It took place on July 20th, 1814 at Burlington Heights. We actually will be inviting descendants of the men who were executed, and that has been an unexpected outcome of the exhibit. I understand that, actual descendants. That must be interesting. Oh, it's fascinating, and it's been very emotional. It's been an emotional journey for them because some of them had not been in touch with each other since the event. The different lines of families were split apart and torn asunder by their fathers being executed. And this exhibit, in some cases, has brought those people back together. So they'll be invited to that event, and they'll be treated in a very different manner than their ancestors were. I can imagine, and there'll be music as well. Yes, we'll have the 1812 Overture with the Boris Brott National Academy Orchestra. Beautiful, so that'll be a good day, and it's good it happened in the summer. Yes. Not that it was ever good that it happened, but again, at least it's something that, you know, when we talk about the War of 1812, and of course this in 1814, then, you know, people can gather and look at it in a different way. It is a piece of history, regardless of how your opinion on whether it was, you know, good or bad. We understand the reasons why it happened, but looking at things 200 years later, it always looks different when taken in perspective. So it's a very interesting study in patriotism. Well, thank you for your time, Lois. And again, Fieldcote Museum open, and again, we'll be changing once this exhibit expires. Thank you so much. That's it for TERRA at Home for now. We'll be back with more.
TERRA, where color lives.
You've sat under them and built forts in them. You've swung from them and fell out of them. You've even fallen in love under them. Trees have always held a special place in our hearts and memories. A natural beauty, trees will grow with you and your family and bring color and nature into your world. For your assurance of quality, look for trees and shrubs with the Medallion plant tag. Medallion plants, locally grown, the pride of Niagara.
Good morning, welcome back to TERRA at Home, and we are at the Go Cooking Kitchen in the Spectator today in Hamilton again, and we're back with Chef Iain. It is Super Bowl weekend, so a lot of people doing prep today for the big game tomorrow, and you've decided to come up with something that's, I find, like, scarily really a lot of work. But you're going to make sure that it doesn't seem like that much work to us?
It is a great take on a really traditional spin. Okay. Absolutely. Okay. I am going to do all the components that you would have on a chicken wing platter, and I'm going to stuff it into a chicken wing. So I've got my carrots, my celery, my blue cheese. Yes, it's going to be bacon, and I've got pork. And I'm going to stuff the chicken wing. I'm going to pop that into the oven, finish it off with some Jack Daniel's barbecue sauce, And
it's actually really cool. I'm just playing here right now with you, but
all good.
This is actually really fun. I think people would love to show up, but instead of having just a plain old chicken wing, having what you're about to make for us.
I will have to say this is sort of an intermediate level. This is, it's a little labor intensive when it comes to deboning the wing itself. Requires a sharp knife, lots of patience. If you're not comfortable with, talk to your butcher. See if they'll do it for you.
Really?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the most important thing is I'm asking for the wing with the tip that's still on. I mean, ultimately, it's going to be our little handle to hold the chicken wing. And what I'm doing is I'm going to be taking up the bones from the main part there.
Okay.
And that's what I'm going to stuff. Ultimately, with a sharp boning knife, I'm going to be pulling back the skin. And like I said, it does take a little bit of patience, and it does take some work. So I'm exposing the bone. It's also called Frenching.
Right.
The bone itself. And once you get it,
So
you can then start to pull it back. Forgive me if I stop talking. Again, I'm just sort of concentrating.
You're using a sharp knife around your fingers, and you're trying to remove. It seems like a lot of work, especially when people can down one wing in like 2 seconds, right?
Well said. Ultimately, what I've done now is I've pulled back most of all of the skin and most of the meat.
Okay.
And essentially, I've just pulled it back. And what I'm left with is our 2 bones right there. And we'll just give it a quick snap, and they should come away from the joint.
Oh, okay, that's not that bad.
No, it's not bad at all.
I mean, you've done this before, but still, it's not that bad.
And essentially,
look at that.
You are left with a little compartment that we can put our tasty stuffing into.
Okay.
And we're left, like I said, with a little handle to hold. So we've got that set up and out of the way.
Okay.
Next thing that we're going to do is we are going to deal with our pork. All important, we're going to add our bacon to it. Okay. So what I've done is I've just taken some wonderful maple smoked bacon, cut it into small pieces, incorporated it with the pork. I'm going to add our carrots and celery. I've chopped them rather finely. I've grated the carrot. And put it onto a fry pan just to start to cook them out a little bit.
Oh, you did? Oh,
just a little bit anyways.
Okay.
And then, most importantly, I'm going to add some of the blue cheese. I want something that's sharp. I want something that's tangy. So something with a deep blue vein.
Okay.
And again, I'm going to let's just incorporate it all. I'm afraid to say it's a time to get your hands dirty. And essentially, we're just going to incorporate all our ingredients.
Wow.
It takes a while.
Interesting. I mean, but again, as you say, those are all of the components of having chicken wings. You've got usually you're dipping them in blue cheese sauce.
That's
and you have celery sticks and carrot sticks on the side. So you decided to make it really easy for people.
Exactly.
To get all those flavors.
Perfect.
It's kind of fun.
So, what we do
is we're a lot of work.
Grab our chicken wing, and we're going to start to stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. It is a messy job, but I promise you, it is a most delicious outcome.
I love it.
And what we're left with is
And you said you were doing this today. I was like, well, I've heard of it, but...
Like I said, it takes a little bit of effort, but that, my friends, is what you're left with.
Isn't that neat? There you go.
Okay. And then ultimately,
you just keep going.
You just keep going.
So if you're having like 20 people over to your house,
make sure you have some close friends that are helpful and want to be a part of meal preparation.
I was gonna say, or they're only allowed 1 each.
You know what? You could do it as a small appetizer, and you can bring out the nachos later.
Right.
It's entirely up to you.
Or you fill them with a whole bunch of other food first, and then when you only allow them 1 each, then they won't feel so bad about it.
Honestly, it is a practiced hand, but it really doesn't take all that long.
I'm just teasing you like steady right now, so.
I get it. I'm on to you.
I actually think that they're going to be fantastic, though. Okay.
Yep.
So basically, once you get all these guys stuffed, what's the next step?
Well, what our next step is actually, I've already preheated the oven. I'm not going to put the. We talked earlier today about the possibility of putting them into the deep fryer. I would suggest no.
They'd probably fall apart, wouldn't they?
They are going to fall apart.
Yeah. Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to season and I'm going to par bake. I'm going to put them in. I'm going to cook them almost all the way through. And then ultimately when my guests arrive, then I can put it into a much higher temperature of the oven. and just to crisp them up, just to finish them up.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So you have, once you've spent all morning putting these together, when your guests finally do arrive, you have the opportunity to spend time with your guests.
Okay, yeah, because this is not something you want to do when they're all there.
Exactly. Well, yes, absolutely. So
that's a good idea. Okay, so seasoning. What seasoning are you? Just salt and pepper?
Just salt and pepper.
Okay.
Comes into, before we put it into the oven, we'll sprinkle it liberally with some salt and some pepper, and put it into a 400-degree oven. Like I said, we're going to par bake.
So
just
which meaning
almost
how long?
cooking. How long? Well, any chef would say until they're done or almost done. You're probably looking at about 10, 12 minutes, just a par bake. You're going to finish them off anyway a little later on when your guests finally do arrive.
Right.
You're going to pair it off. I've done something with a little coleslaw, which is some green cabbage. I've got some cilantro and some parsley, maybe some lime and ginger to add to that.
Great.
Makes for a great snack.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely perfect. Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll just finish stuffing these, and then when we come back, and we'll have to talk about your Jack Daniel's barbecue sauce as well when we return. And
Most definitely.
We'll make these look, you know, a little more cooked than they do right now.
Excellent.
All right, we'll be right back in just a few.
TERRA, where color lives.
Welcome back to TERRA at Home. I'm back with Chef Iain, and we have finished stuffed chicken wings.
Yeah, very exciting.
After all that work.
Yep.
But they look lovely and they smell great.
Thank you. What we did is we took chicken wing with the tip still on. We deboned it, taking the two bones from the front, peeled the meat back, able to snap them off with pork and a little bit of ground veal, some ground bacon, carrot, celery, and blue cheese.
So all the flavors that you need.
All the flavors that would
there.
be on a chicken wing plate, we've put inside our tasty chicken wing. And
they actually sound pretty awesome.
Yeah, we put them into a 400-degree oven, and we just let them cook off. And then we can add to our plate. I just made a little slaw, which is kind of fun. Carrots, a little bit of green cabbage, some cilantro, a little lime and ginger, and olive oil. It's kind of nice.
Yes.
And then what I did just as that this slaw was finishing off is I put the chicken wings under the broiler just to crisp up the skin.
Crispy. And this
has a little bit of Jack Daniel's barbecue sauce, pretty tasty. And you have...
Iain let me try that earlier, and it's really, really good.
Pretty tasty.
It is.
And we have...
How wonderful is that?
Stuffed chicken wings.
Wow. So again, just a reminder, you can find all these recipes on our website at terragreenhouses.com. So this is something, again, do a little prep work leading up to, of course, being a Super Bowl tomorrow. You would have wanted to maybe get started on that, but you know, it's still early. We still have time. It's still the morning, technically. You can get out, get these ingredients, and get working on it so that you're not trying to do it all while your friends are over and the game's on.
Game's underway.
You want to be doing this during the third or fourth quarter, right? So amazing.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. That's a good recipe. And again, just a little twist on chicken wings, but I think you'll have your friends wanting to come back for more, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Thank you, Chef Iain. Good stuff. That's it for TERRA at Home. Have yourself a good weekend, and may the best team win.